We're here to talk to you about the Say Something program, which will help you save lives by empowering you to prevent shootings, violence, suicide, and other harmful acts in our school and community. Before we begin, I want to give you the number for the crisis text line in case you need help from an adult or your trusted adult isn't available. Write down this number just in case for the crisis text line. It is 741-741. A live trained crisis counselor will respond to provide support and help. Again, this number is 741-741.
Today, you will learn the 3 steps that will help you keep your friends and classmates safe from hurting themselves or someone else, simply by saying something. Step 1. Recognize warning signs and threats. Step 2. When you observe a sign or threat, act immediately and take it seriously. And Step 3. Say something to a trusted adult or call 911 in an emergency. Using these 3 steps will empower you to help keep your school safe and get help for people who need it.
Before we jump into each step, I want to emphasize that overall, schools are safe. Our teachers, administrators, and staff are continuously working to ensure our school is as safe as possible. However, schools are not immune to shootings, violence, suicide, and threats.
That's why we're here today, to teach you 3 steps that you can use to keep our school safe. You are the eyes and ears of your school. Now, let's talk more specifically about what you can look out for.
This is step 1. Recognize warning signs and threats. A warning sign is something a person says or does that shows they may be planning to harm themselves or others. Here are some examples of warning signs: being obsessed with weapons or school shootings, talking about hurting other people, talking or posting about upcoming attacks, and bringing a weapon to school.
Some examples of warning signs a person may be planning to harm themselves are: they feel like things will never get better, talking about wanting to die, talking about a plan to die, and cutting or burning themselves.
Here are examples of warning signs that a person may be in crisis, which is when someone is going through something that is overwhelming and they need help. Big changes in personality or appearance, withdrawal from friends and activities, refusing to go to school or skipping school a lot, or being physically or verbally abused. These are all warning signs.
Other warning signs that someone may be in crisis, including being bullied or bullying others based on real or perceived differences, including any of the following: race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, disability, and body type. As you've just learned, there are many warning signs we can watch out for.
We also have to be aware of threats. A threat is when a person communicates that they intend to harm themselves or others.
Someone might say a threat, rate a threat, or post a threat on social media. Here are some examples of threats to others. I'm going to take them all out. They will regret they ever met me. And some examples of suicidal threats are statements like, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to end it all.
Where were these warning signs and threats found? Anywhere and everywhere. You might find them in places like classrooms, the hallways, and the cafeteria, as well as outside of the school, like the bus, at home, at parties, and at sporting events.
Social media is a main source of warning signs and threats. Many students use social media to make a threat or express their feelings, including anger, anxiety, or depression. And what we know is that adults aren't on the same social media platforms we are, so they aren't seeing everything we see. That's why it is important to learn how to recognize when somebody needs help.
Now that you know Step 1, how to recognize the warning signs and threats, let's learn about Step 2, act immediately and take it seriously.
Act immediately when you see or hear a warning sign or threat and get help. It's essential to act immediately because all too often, no one acts at all. It's important to acknowledge that it can be difficult to act immediately.
Here are some reasons that people may give when they don't act immediately. She's too young to hurt herself. I thought someone else would do something about it. Or he just wants attention. My friend will be mad at me. My friend won't trust me anymore. My mom told me to stay out of other people's business.
Acting immediately can be difficult, but just because it may be difficult does not mean that's an excuse for doing nothing. Not taking warning signs seriously and failing to act immediately could result in tragic consequences for you, your friends, and your classmates. You are doing something brave when you act immediately to help a friend or a classmate. Helping them is more important than them being mad at you.
One of the biggest reasons that can stop you from acting immediately is that you'll be called a snitch. But there's a big difference between snitching and saying something. When you snitch on someone, you're trying to get someone in trouble for your own gain. When you say something, you're getting someone help for their own safety and protecting others from harm. Saying something is simply about getting someone help.
Remember, it's important that if you see warning signs and threats, you act immediately and take it seriously. The third and final step is to say something to a trusted adult or call 911 in an emergency.
I want to highlight that you should do something if a friend or classmate is displaying warning signs or communicating threats. Also, if you recognize that you're displaying any of these warning signs, you should say something to a trusted adult. Trusted adults are adults who listen to you and take your concerns seriously.
You are the best judge of the trusted adults in your life. Your trusted adults can be a lot of different people. They could be your teacher, a school administrator, your school counselor, or your coach.
Your trusted adult could also be somebody outside of the school as well. Your parent, guardian, a mentor, or a family friend you can talk to. A family member or community leader or a religious leader like a pastor. These are just a few examples.
It's important that you know who your trusted adults are right now. That way, if you see any warning signs or threats, you know who to go to immediately. It can be hard to have these conversations, so let's look at a strategy you can use that might help you have these conversations.
First, tell your trusted adult who you're concerned about. You can use this language to start the conversation. For example, I'm concerned about my friend.
The second part is to describe what warning signs or threats you are seeing and bring any text, videos, or pictures you may have. The last part is to tell your trusted adult what you would like their help with. You could say, I'm concerned about my friend because he's being bullied and I need your help to make it stop.
And remember, if your trusted adult isn't available, you can also contact the crisis text line at 741-741. A live trained crisis counselor will respond to provide support and help. If you haven't already, put the number of the crisis text line in your phone. Again, it's 741-741.
Now let's talk about 911. You should only call 911 when there's an emergency, and then tell a trusted adult. An emergency is when someone needs help right away because they are injured or in immediate danger. Now, I know calling 911 may seem difficult. You may be nervous because you've never called 911 before or worried about giving the right information.
Also, sometimes people are concerned of what's going to happen when they call 911. This is why we want to provide you some more guidance about when to call 911.
Call 911 when there's an emergency. Again, this is when someone needs help right away because they are injured or in immediate danger. Some examples are when someone threatens to take their own life and has access to pills or weapons, or someone is unconscious.
Today, you learned the 3 steps to say something. Step 1, recognize warning signs and threats. Step 2, act immediately and take these warning signs seriously. Step 3, say something to a trusted adult or call 911 in an emergency.
By bringing the 3 steps of Say Something into our day-to-day lives, we as students will be able to reduce violence and threats in our school and make our school and community a better place to be.
I want to end with a story about a student and about a time when saying something saved lives. As a freshman, this student attended a Say Something training session, and because of what she learned with that training, she knew what she should say if she witnessed something that was a serious threat.
A few weeks later, a boy in her class posted a picture on social media with a gun in his hand, warning students not to come to school the following day because he was going to shoot it up. The kids at school were posting all over social media warning their friends about how they were scared to go to school the next day. The student who attended the training made the choice to say something to a trusted adult.
She took a screenshot of the post and showed it to her teacher right away. At first, she felt a little awkward and uneasy to talk with her teacher about this scary information. But she knew it was too important not to take seriously and that she had to say something to an adult immediately.
Afterwards, her teacher assured her that she did the right thing. Because she reported the threat, the school and the police were able to get involved before anyone was harmed.
To this day, that student thinks about how terrible and tragic the situation could have played out if she hadn't taken action, if she didn't say something. By saying something, she helped save lives.
We have that power to make a difference in the world around us just by saying something.
Why should you say something? You are the eyes and ears of our school.
Why should you say something? You see and hear things that others don't.
Why should you say something? You can reduce violence, suicide, and threats.
If you say something, you can save the life of a friend or a classmate.
Thank you for taking the time to learn about the Say Something program. And remember, if your trusted adult isn't available, you can also contact the crisis text line at 741-741. A live trained crisis counselor will respond to provide support and help. If you haven't already, take a moment and write down the number of the crisis text line. It is 741-741.
Being a student means you are uniquely positioned to influence and support the community around you. You can stand up for your school, your peers, and your friends, and say something.